in Royalton of that road that crossed Post Farm, and they had to relocate it, the barn and the pond, we got
No, I don't.
Post Farm Road.
I'm here.
Lower Post Farm Road.
Yeah.
That road used to keep going. They had a court battle over that road. Through like Jenny Cleveland's, and then it went around that valley and over to Gage Road. And I think it was all the same road. I think it was an early road, and that's why we didn't have a record of it.
Yeah.
And that's the case with Falls Hill. That was a road before there was even a state.
Yeah.
It was a road when that was a gore. So I looked in
Okay.
all 4 towns. It could have been, when that road was laid out, that wasn't Tunbridge, basically.
Mhm.
That, it could have been laid out by New Hampshire, by New York, by the British. I mean, it's an old,
Yeah.
old road. So now I found evidence in the book 1 of 1783 in the land records that Elias Curtis was paid to work on that road. That's the first instance of the town claiming that as a right of way and doing work on it.
Yeah, all right, well, we gotta,
1783.
it's early.
And so when the
Don't worry about it.
All right, we gotta start our meeting.
Yeah.
All right,
Mike and John are here.
I hear Mike, I see John. See a whole bunch of people. All their names.
What's our administrative assistant doing there? She's supposed to be,
I know, I was at home and then Gary somehow bumped us off Zoom, so I ran down here frantically because I knew a bunch of people were gonna be on here, and then I just assumed I would stay, so here I am.
Actually, she got Davis in such a crying fit, she had to leave the
I
house.
really did too.
All right, as soon as you're done talking
You
down
can
there.
go ahead, I can do it after.
Well, we'll bring the meeting to order then at 6:04 or whatever it says.
6:05.
6:05. Anyway, road reports first. I hear that Rodney talked to Mike, so Mike, why don't you give us a report?
He said nothing major. I asked him how the sand pile was doing. And he said good, because Pickett's had still owed us some sand, and so they were bringing it in. So basically, they hadn't been touching the big pile. And Pickett's got 200 more yards over there that he'd like to get rid of, and Rodney'd like to get it if we okayed it. They've been having a bunch of little things with the trucks, fuel tank leaks, antifreeze leaks, but they're kind of keeping abreast of it. And that was about it. Just been sanding and working on trucks. And so I don't know if you want to have a vote or something on the 200 extra yards of sand, or
What do they want for it?
I assume the same as whatever we were paying. It was 14 something, wasn't it?
14 and a quarter, 14 and a half, I think.
Yeah. He just wanted, I guess, to get it out of there to clean his yard up.
What's that add up to, Mike? $2,800,
Yeah,
3,000 or something like that?
yeah.
I guess I'm okay with that. If you want to make a motion. How about you, John?
do we have a little extra in the budget for that?
We do right now because we've only probably spent half of, or approximately half of what we have for this fiscal year.
All right.
Because
Yeah,
You all set now?
if Mike
You
makes
know,
some,
Yeah, I make a motion, we get this sand, and if we don't use it, then we can knock it off next year's
Right,
pile. At least we'll have it.
Yeah.
Cause nobody knows. Rodney was using it pretty hard there for a while, but a month ago, he's sanding twice a day some days, so he's going through it pretty fast, but it's got back down to a steady roar now. So
I guess- yeah, go ahead, Mike.
So I'll make a motion that we purchase the 200 yards.
yeah, I second that.
And I would third it on the condition that we are paying the same price as we did for what we got in the fall.
Okay. Okay,
And because more than likely, the price will go up next summer when we want it, so we're actually getting a good deal, so.
right.
So all in favor, say aye.
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 And I don't know if you wanna go over this now. But I talked to a friend of mine who's a professor up to VTC, and he gave me the name of an engineering firm in Montpelier that he said was really good, Black River Design. So, I don't know how you want to approach this. He said, they could come down and, I haven't talked to them, but he said they probably could come down, look at it, figure out what we need. And then they could, write an RFP, and then we could send that out and get quotes that way when everybody's on the same page.
Right,
And, so I don't know, do you want me to call them and try to coordinate something with them and Rodney, or do you want to think on it, or do you want Mariah to do it?
why don't you, as long as you've got time on your foot, why don't you do it, and then you can kind of flush out what we think we might want, and we
Okay.
don't know what we want yet, and then
No.
just see if they'll come down and do it for free.
Well, might not be completely free, but
But at least get an idea, maybe they're booked up and they don't even want to work.
Right. Right. But this guy that I talked to at VTC said this was a really good choice for this area,
Yeah.
and they're right up Montpelier. So, and they do a lot of municipal stuff, I guess, and hospital stuff, so they should know the rules.
Yeah, give them a ring.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll put it on my action items.
There
And
you
I
go,
guess,
the administrative, your assistant administrative assistant.
Yeah,
okay. Is there a lot of money involved in that?
Not really.
That's what I was afraid of.
Mike, did you ever hear about the Stratford Road line job?
Oh, no. I was
Ask
gonna
Rodney.
ask Rodney about that and I forgot about it, but I'll ask him in the morning. Okay. And I guess that ends the road report.
all right, short and sweet. I guess we move right on, way ahead of schedule, to discussion of the legal trail number 4.
I probably talk faster than Rodney.
Yeah, I think you do.
Okay.
That's a compliment.
We have all of the information in your packet that
Yep.
was given to us, and Nate Stearns, the attorney who wrote this up for the Hemingways, is on here as well.
Oh,
He's right there at the top.
I still couldn't open that, Mariah. It comes up all
Oh, really?
North Korean or something.
Okay, I tried to send it 2 ways, but
Yeah, but it
Sorry
all,
about
it's letters and symbols and don't make no sense, so,
your computer, Mike, I think.
yeah, right, yeah.
User
right,
error.
Yeah, right.
Do you need that information before we go ahead, Mike?
I guess not. I guess I'll just play it by ear.
Okay, Mr. Stearns, would you like to speak first?
Yes, thank you very much. And thanks for considering our request. We've put in a request on behalf of the landowner to Goodwin Hill LLC to discontinue Legal Trail 4. This particular trail ends in the middle of Goodwin Hill's property. And I am aware that there's been some prior discussion of this situation at other meetings, but it's sort of a situation that invites trespass because people get to the end of that trail and it doesn't connect up to other public trails, and so they go looking for places to walk and end up walking onto private property. It's also been a bit of an issue with respect to some people looking for places to go off-roading in Jeeps that have done some damage to the road. And my understanding is there was a prior attempt to put some signage up to address the problem, but the signs promptly disappeared and didn't ultimately have the desired effect. And so the request is a discontinuance request. We also outlined in our letter some of what we had found on a preliminary review, which is just that there's no evidence that Legal Trail 4 was ever laid out as a public highway or a trail. But that was more in the letter for background and information, and really the primary request is to see if the town will discontinue Legal Trail 4.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hemingway, would you like to speak?
Have to find the unmute button.
Okay,
I've participated over the past year or so with the Planning Commission and this whole question that I'm sure that you're more aware of than I am, and thank the Lord for that. I just like to indicate, as you know, from my perspective, one, I've got some of my kids who are also owners and members of the LLC who are here tonight. And all I'd like to say is I've tried to be a good neighbor. If you discontinued the road, the trail rather, I would continue to not post my land. And we would assume that our friends and neighbors in Tunbridge would continue to use it, and the other parcel that we own, which is over actually on Goodwin Hill. And I guess we're here to listen to you.
okay, thank you.
I have nothing to add that I haven't already either stated in meetings or put in letters to the both you, the select board, and the members of the planning commission. So I'm on the record already.
Okay. John or Mike, do you have anything to add?
Well, I don't quite understand why if we throw the trail up, nothing will change. Everybody can continue to use it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something.
If I can respond to that, I think the primary reason is to be able to have more control over potentially putting up some barricades to keep people off that trail, in particular with motorized vehicles. But to be able to control how that trail gets used without having to get town permission, I think would be the primary reason to do that.
Okay,
John, oh,
Does the vast trail cross that legal trail at any point or follow it?
yes,
Yes, it does. I let Cal
it goes
correct me if
down
I'm,
halfway down it and it splits off and goes north and then it goes south on Mr. Hemingway's land, and plus it goes north up onto my father's and Goodwin Hill.
Yep.
You want to add something, Mr. Stearns?
well, I was just gonna, I think that's probably a more accurate description than I could give. I was just gonna say, my understanding is that there's never been any issues with vast use of the trail. They've always taken good care of it. But just as I mentioned, that hasn't always been the case with people out looking for a place to go jeeping.
I hate to open this up, but is there anyone else who'd like to speak to this point?
Yep.
You raised your hand. Go ahead.
Oh, you're muted, Ann. There you go.
A couple things over the course of these meetings now. I've heard Mr. Hemingway say and Mr. Echeverria that if the town does not close the trails, that they will post and close off their property. And I am completely fine with that. I don't believe that it's in the public's best interest, the people of Tunbridge who primarily use those trails, to close them for the benefit of private ownership over the public good. So if they want to close their property and post the trails, that's fine with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Anyone else? I guess time's growing short. Yeah.
Oh, Scott Beavers, I think, wants to talk.
Oh, okay. Scott Beavers, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Thanks a lot. Let me try to show my face.
There you are.
Hey,
no, we liked it better before.
I get that a lot, Mike. I guess I just want to say, I mean, this horseman's beaten to death. This is sort of a new thing that has come up. I think it's pretty clear that, Cal's probably in this with Echeverria, and it's the same sort of push. And I just trust that we're not going to let, these folks with investment properties in town and very deep pockets sort of make a mockery of the town of Tunbridge and its residents. This effort tonight is pretty interesting, very creative. Clearly, I would say there's, an effort to put a precedent in place for, closing down further town trails. This is not what most people in the town want. I think most people in the town probably want to keep any public access and public land. I mean, the push for a community is pretty big these days. I got to say, not that Cal mentioned anything about this at all today, although I believe there's an attorney here, but who would threaten to sue the town they live in? Who would threaten to sue their neighbors in their town and their community for personal gain? I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, what does that say? I've only lived here for 25 years, so I'm kind of a newbie. But the thought of suing my neighbors and friends and community is something that is just, it's not even a possibility. I mean, this isn't Woodstock. This isn't Stowe. We shouldn't let that sort of ideal, work its way into a town as great as this. And I think the town needs to stand up to these people and say, listen, you got your property, you bought it, you know what the deal is. There's a town trail on it, big deal, let people just use this town trail the way it's been and is meant to be. I've spoken to a lot of people from a lot of other towns. Everybody's watching, and they're hoping that these folks don't make a mockery of our town, and I hope the same thing. So thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you, Scott. Michael Saka, I see your hand is up.
Right, thanks for having me and hosting this discussion, ongoing discussion. I agree with a lot of what Scott said, and building on some of the points that he and others have made here. I think that there is, my feeling, I've only been here for just, I think, 24 years, Scott, but it seems that there's a legacy of people using other people's land for hiking, skiing, that kind of thing, and not being posted. So there's this idea of the mutual access, I guess. And if this public trail is closed, then it will in fact set a precedent, a dangerous precedent for others. And so I'm very concerned about that as well. I think that the other thing is that, we did hear, and I have heard that there's been some four-wheeling up there, and that, I think the town could do something to create a barrier there to help prevent that. I think that's, way out of bounds to do that. I think it's out of bounds for people to trespass if there's a sign that says no trespassing. If there is no sign, obviously, we can use that land. And I think that taking a long view on this, land changes hands, as we all know, over time, and what one person desires may not be what another person desires later on, and to close the door on some opportunities.
Another Sherman, Lord, give him a great round of applause. Yeah, no thing called speaking in tongues.
Oh, what do you call that?
Well, let me go on here if that guy doesn't mind. I think there's a desire there has been spoken at these meetings to create public-private partnerships, and this would be a great opportunity to continue that as a public trail, even though it ends at this point in time, but to create the public-private partnerships that so many people have been talking about, and everybody seems to agree it's a good idea. So by closing this road, this public way, that would basically close the door to have this public-private partnership. And so I would be against shutting this down. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Michael. Anyone else? Cal?
Sitting here as somebody who apparently has deep pockets really hits me right between the eyes. I've owned land in Tunbridge for 45 years and had hoped to build up there, but my wife, she's a confirmed net maker, and I couldn't convince her of it. In any event, the legal trail that exists on my property was one that I knew nothing about until the Planning Commission had been detailed to come up with some responses to how you would handle bicycles on trails in 2020, which was, I believe, about 8 to 10 years later than you actually operated on it as a town. And if you want to read the letter with all what's going on, really never heard about it until it was a fait accompli of quite a few years. So I participated in the process, provided many comments and questions that dealt with various different, if you will, public-private partnerships that would have to be addressed by the planning commission or by the town of Tunbridge, if anything of that nature would ever be really seriously entertained by the parties. So I just want people to understand that I'm not some rich folk from a couple of states away. I'm somebody who has concern for things and have stated such. So please consider who you're talking about and to. And I'll leave it at that. One of the points that had been raised by me directly with the select board back in September was, if you're dealing with a legal trail that you created that ends in the middle of somebody's land, how do you avoid essentially advocating trespass? Because there's no way that people are going to go 3/10 of a mile up a hill and not continue on. So I guess one of my questions of the select board would be, how do you prevent trespass? How do you end a trail in the middle of somebody's land and not assume that you're essentially endorsing that people break the law? And I'll shut up.
Right, thank you very much, Cal. Anyone else?
Does Ann have her hand up again?
Oh, Ann, have you got your hand up? It looks like you do.
I do. I just wanted to reply to that and also something that Mr. Stern said earlier. And that state statute, I believe, says unless the property is posted, that people do have the legal right to be on it. Thanks.
Right, thank you. Michael, have you got your hand up again? Or did you not take it down?
No, sorry, I hadn't taken it down.
Please take your hand down. Mr. Stearns.
Thank you. I just wanted to respond briefly to the comments about setting a precedent. I mean, this is a bit of a unique situation in that number one, in that the trail dead ends. And number two, I don't know if everybody got the materials that we submitted, but we did submit some highway maps. And one of the unique things about Legal Trail 4 is it was not on any of the VTrans highway maps until 2013. Starting from 1931, which was the first VTrans highway map that we could find. There were many iterations of public highway maps in the interim. And it wasn't until that 2013 map that the trail showed up. I don't think there's any question that the trail wasn't formally laid out and surveyed in 2012 or that time frame. I think that it was all based on looking back at some old records. I heard some discussion that I'm not sure was about this road before the meeting officially started. Looking back to, I think 1783 was the comment. I'm not aware of anything that far back, but it doesn't mean that there's not something. But we didn't find any evidence that the road, what is now Legal Trail 4, was ever formally laid out. So I think there is some uniqueness to this situation that doesn't necessarily create a precedent that would lead to closing down other established legal trails. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I guess I have some thoughts, and that we, the select board, need to look into this further. We aren't gonna, in my opinion, make a decision tonight in any way, shape, or form. But there are some definite unanswered questions. And so we'll keep plugging along with this, and at some point, maybe make a decision. I guess I'd invite Mike or John to speak to that, if they agree or disagree.
Yeah, I think we gotta look into it a little bit more. I was jeeping on that road with my cousin before I had a license, so that's been there. You know, I'm not saying it was a legal trail or a town road or anything else, but, you know, we jeeped on there and snow machined on there and hunted up there for 60 years that I know of. So, not saying maybe we were trespassing all that time, but, I think we got to look into it and see if there was, it used to be a town road at some point. And I've had enough to do with highway maps to know that stuff gets left out or forgotten or never included. Found a lot of that when we did the ancient road stuff, you know, roads that people didn't even know existed were still on maps, and roads that were on maps shouldn't have been on maps, and it's just the whole thing's a little wishy-washy. So I think we got to check into it further.
First, John O'Brien, would you like to speak?
Thanks, Gary. I just had a question for Mr. Hemingway and Mr. Stearns. Would you like to see nobody on your land, or if that legal trail was used essentially as a walking trail by, you know, it seems to me that the problem has been disrespectful recreators using the trail and further, you know, both in trespassing and perhaps in in rough usage of it. And so I was just trying to get at if the town worked with you as a landowner, could you see it being used as a trail, kept open, you know, to a public right of way, and perhaps if on the Angels side, you know, it's not a legal trail, but if it became a trail on that side, is that something you would entertain as long as there was proper signage and there was respectful use of that trail? Is that something you could potentially live with?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
So
I've put that in writing to the town a number of times.
yeah. So I think just on behalf of the select board, I would request that if you can be patient with the board, we're going to get to a policy or an ordinance on these trails. And we would like to work with both the abutting landowners and the recreators and find something that almost everybody agrees is a good use of those trails.
All right, good suggestion, John. John Echeverria, I see you have your hand up.
Thank you. I'm not going to comment on this particular trail. One of the things that's become clear over these long discussions is that each of the trails is different and presents different challenges, and Cal and Mr. Stearns are addressing this trail. I just want to respond to one point about the law of trespass. It's quite clear in Vermont that whether or not land is posted, unauthorized entry onto the land is a trespass. That is not true if you're a hunter, because there's a constitutional right to hunt on unenclosed lands. And the only way the landowner can overcome that constitutional right is by posting it in accordance with state law. But there is no right otherwise to go onto private property, whether it's posted or unposted. And the law on that is quite clear.
Right, thank you, John. Laura, I see you have your hand up.
Hi. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that based on some questions that Cal had asked at one of our legal legal trails meetings, we did pose the question about legal trail number 4 to Paul Gillies and had him look into the history of its formation, its length, where it ends, where it starts. So we do have a bit of information. And Mike is correct that this road did, or this legal trail was added in 2013 as part of the ancient roads work. And so it did not appear on any town maps before that point because of the fact that it was never laid out as an official road. But during the ancient road process, it was adopted. And all of that information is available on the VTrans website. I'm happy to share that link with anybody who's interested. Rudy has a bunch of that information. There's a ton of data. It's 100 megabytes worth of materials. And Paul Gillies did confirm that based on all of that information, the state's acceptance of it, that Legal Trail 4 is a legally accounted for legal trail per the law in the state of Vermont. So it was created under the authority that was given to towns and accepted by the state to then start appearing on town highway maps, and is now falling under the same law and requirements that other legal trails fall under. So the other 3 that we have in town. So I do have that. I think Paul is aware that we have some questions. I asked him about some folks felt that because it was an ancient road and it continued over the top of the hill in old times back in the 1700s, but that part of the trail or ancient road was never formally adopted, that there could be opportunity to extend it so that it actually connected to the next town, as it did in days of yore, but that process was never started. But he said that doesn't mean it couldn't happen. But at this point, he did say that the trail itself is the length that it was. There was documentation in the Agency of Transportation paperwork that it says that there's a 1990 letter from Mark Eagle that says Town Highway 46 was extended by 0.25 miles beyond the former Clarence Ordway residence. And the 2010 conversion of the road into a trail would include all of that 0.25 plus an additional 0.05 miles further easterly from the Ordway place. The terminus of the trail is 0.25 miles from Ordway, at least as far as your records have so far revealed. So I think Paul is aware of this. He's done some digging into it and could be some assistance in understanding if there is any reason to treat this trail differently than the other ones at this point, given that it was laid out or adopted later. But he did not indicate that given the correspondence that we've had to date.
All right, Laura, thank you very much. Anyone else to comment? Wow, Lordy, I don't see anybody else. So I guess I'm going to make the statement that the select board will continue to look into this. And also, like, I don't know who mentioned it, somebody that maybe at some point we can extend a trail by having a trail over private land or something like that. So the outcome is not for sure, but we're definitely going to look into it more and get back to you soon.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Well, Michael Saka, you put your hand back up. Oh, no, that's a thumbs up.
No, I'm agreeing with you, Gary. Nicely said.
Well, I can't really see it. I thought that was a middle finger. But... All right. That ends that part. We're going to move on. If anybody wants to stay around, you're welcome to.
So no Mitch Taylor.
No Mitch Taylor.
So Laura would like
Oh, yeah.
Amy Frost to be appointed as the new planning commission member.
I think that's a great idea. Would someone like to make the motion that we appoint Amy Frost to the planning commission?
I
Well,
make
would
that
you-
motion.
Would Amy like to speak, just in case John or Mike doesn't know who she is?
I am here. Hello. I think I-
Let me second it first.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Now we can discuss it. So Amy, would you like to just say hi and tell us your qualifications?
I'm not sure I can give you a long list of qualifications why I should be appointed to the planning commission, but no, I've been very interested in I was involved obviously in the legal trails and just got kind of my attention captured by everything going on with the planning commission. And I'm kind of ready to just dig back into some town work. So, I know the players, I'm interested in the information. I had a look through the town plan, which kind of piqued my interest. Actually, I didn't read every word, but I read quite a bit of it. So yeah, I'm interested in participating.
All right, well, thank you for your interest. I guess we'll go ahead and vote then. All
Sounds
in
good.
favor, say aye.
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 Unanimous. Well, that was simple. Welcome aboard, Amy.
And once you're on forever.
Or longer.
Right.
Does the planning commission have a full board now?
Or maybe Laura knows.
Yep, so we are back to being fully seated with 7 members, and Gary still is the ex officio from the select board. So we're fully staffed up. We have assigned terms to each seat because we didn't have terms, and so we'll be on a more official rotation going forward.
All right, thank you. All right, we're gonna speed right along and talk about town meeting discussion. You're on, Mariah.
Yeah, so town meeting, the governor was presented today, the legislation to let us postpone town meeting again this year. Brenda highly suggests it. I know I've talked to
Mhm.
John, and I believe even Gary, maybe. Gary, or you're Gary. Mike,
Yeah.
did we talk about it? I can't remember.
No,
So-
you never talked to me about important stuff.
I know. But so anyways, Brenda is encouraging, and I think a lot of other towns are trending towards postponing town meeting again until we can do it outside, just with the Omicron and everything else. And so I didn't know if you wanted to decide on that. And then I don't know if the governor has officially signed it. So I was thinking if you all agreed, we could make a motion pending the signing of the governor.
Is there a time limit on when we can hold the meeting, or?
There's not, it would just be until a further date, so we could postpone it till May like we did last time,
Okay.
or whenever, and do the exact same setup as we did before down on the fairgrounds.
Yeah. I think that other than only 100 people showing up, it worked great.
Yeah,
What do you think, Mike and John?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea that we postpone it.
Yeah, I agree. I just talked to John Dunville today from the Royalton Select Board too, and they're gonna do more or less the same thing they did last year, which was they've had Australian ballots for the elected positions in town. And so I think, towns that have a little precedent, that, it was weird last year because we had never done it, but now that this would be our second year of doing this, I think we'd have a better turnout, and I think it went pretty well last year. So, same thing in Royalton, whatever process each town wants to do, if they repeat that exact same thing, I think they'll go pretty well.
All right, do you have anything to add, Brenda?
I really enjoyed the birds and the raptors. No, hopefully the Omicron is over in a month or so, but you have to make decisions so that you can post it.
Yeah.
I think this is it only makes sense.
Yep. Well, I agree. I think we ought to postpone just to be safe. And plan on, what was it, the 20th of May or whatever
Yeah,
the
that,
date is.
that weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have to actually set a date now or just say? we're
No,
gonna
we can
postpone?
just say postpone it and then next meeting we can pick
Okay.
a date out. That's fine.
Well, Mike, would you like to make a motion that we do that? Or would John?
I make a motion that we postpone town meeting to a later date.
Pending the signature of the governor.
What's that?
I think he hasn't technically signed it. He was given it today. I mean, I think he's going to sign it, the
Okay.
House and the,
If he signs it.
okay, thank you.
I'll second that.
All right, John, all in favor of Mike's motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, unanimous again.
Perfect.
Well,
We're on a roll.
that don't happen very often.
Happens all the time. Budget discussion number 3. Becky's not here, obviously. Is
No.
Becky on there?
She's not,
Oh.
did you get, the email?
I didn't get anything on
You
email.
didn't get that either?
No.
I can open it up on here and share my screen. How about that?
When did she send it?
She sent it at 10 o'clock this morning.
Huh.
What do we want to look at first? I have the current budget. I have the working budget. I think the working budget's the one that we are working on, so.
That's the one I have.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, there you go.
No, I ain't got it anywhere.
What? Okay, hold on. You are
What's on
sharing.
your screen, Mike?
Yeah,
that?
What's on your screen? The owl view or the spreadsheet?
what can you see, John? Can you see the spreadsheet?
I can see the spreadsheet and then your little postage stamp on the owl.
Uh-huh.
Well, I just did something I shouldn't have done, so. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it now.
And is this the same one you're looking at?
That's
With the working budget?
I think so. So you're looking at general fund.
I can stop copying.
Oh, yeah, yep, okay, there you go.
But
General fund.
basically, she just put in what we had talked about last meeting anyways, right?
I think so. So her email said that she had the working budget. The budget is pretty much, I think, completed, but please look it over closely to find any errors or places you would like to fix, increase or decrease. We can make the changes in the spreadsheet if this is helpful. Currently, I have what the amount we would have to change in taxes along, or charge in taxes, along with an estimate of tax rate for each budget. I'm not sure if you want to use some of the surplus to reduce the rate, and also if you want to create a capital fund for the highway. You could fund that with some of the surplus. Talking to Thomas, this sounds like it's gonna be an expensive bill. Let me know if you have any questions. So yeah, she did make the changes, and
Read
if you want
that last part again.
that talking to that part, talking to Thomas, this sounds like it will be a very expensive bill for the town garage.
Oh, build,
You
not
build-
build, but build.
Yeah, build the. So let me know if you want me to scroll.
I guess I'd be more interested in going to the bottom line and see how much we're increasing.
So,
The general fund is going up a penny
yeah,
from 22 cents to 23 cents.
yeah, right here.
Yeah,
And then the highway,
Highway's going from 51 to 54 cents.
Wow,
Both are up. I don't know what percentage that is.
yeah,
It's pretty
But-
small on the general fund.
but if we use that surplus or some of it, I don't know what that would figure out to, but it would bring it back down, right?
Yeah, should. I haven't any idea what it would amount to, but if it brought it back down to 22 cents, so we'd be level funded, that would be great.
Right,
I did the owl already.
Okay, and the Wi-Fi.
Did we get, did we have somebody come in and do it yet?
No, but it needs to be on
Oh.
their removed
Okay.
with them approving it.
Do we have the figure for the general fund surplus? It was around 150,000,
oh, less than that, wasn't it?
I thought it
130.
was, I thought it was slightly more than that.
Oh, okay,
Is that on this or is it?
I don't know where that would be.
I wrote it
Oh.
down.
Is it not? The surplus right here, 138.
There
it is. yeah,
236.
yeah, I think that's it.
It's on the bottom of the
Next one.
general fund.
So on the highway surplus, did we already just
Oh,
roll
here.
that back into some of the funds?
Yes, we split it up 3 ways. Paving, emergency fund and something else.
Bridges or,
Yeah, something, yeah.
okay, so that's gone.
So the highway is gonna basically stay where it is unless we change it right now.
Right. But we should figure out,
And I think our highway, most of it was maintenance stuff. Going up.
Right, I
Yeah.
can't remember.
well, raises.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
God, that don't account for very much, does it? I mean, at the end,
Well, it's like $9,000 for foreman's wages is up. And road crew. Road crew's up like 15,000. Well, that's $24,000
yeah,
right there. And then of course FICA and all that stuff add up a little bit more, so it all adds up in the end.
it all adds up. Well, I guess I'd rather bite that bullet than have the town crew quitting, so.
Right.
If we can save something on the general fund,
What's your pleasure on? Do we split that and refund the taxpayers some of it, or?
I would.
weren't we gonna use like half it to go towards taxes? What were we gonna do with the other half?
The garage,
Oh,
start a garage fund?
put it in a fund, yeah, okay. Okay,
So it'd be what, 60-something thousand each?
yeah, that would be my suggestion,
Yeah. Well, that's something we just have to put on a warning for town
Right.
meeting.
right,
So we can have Becky figure out what the actual tax rate for the general fund would be if we knocked 65 or whatever that half was
right,
off from it.
right,
Other than that, it's not nickel and dime, but it's a few thousand here, it's 5,000 there, somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
It all adds up though.
yeah, that's the trouble. And, fuel is creeping back up again.
Right,
And so that's gonna be next summer, stones and sand's gonna be more money.
Right, yeah.
And
Oh, and I think my opinion is we've done a good job at like allowing Rodney to get a pile of stone for next mud season, for instance. It'll
yes,
be a lot more convenient and it'll work
Yes.
better and keep the roads in better condition
yes,
all the way around. So
And-
just like when they
and-
sand the roads in the wintertime, they do a great job and people can get where they need to get and it just
Right.
makes people happy.
and we're using a lot better stone now than I think
Yeah,
we have in the past, so that helps out during mud season and these little thaws we get in the middle of the winter.
and also I don't know, maybe it's hopefully in the end gonna make less dust in the summertime too, or less chloride use
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully. But I just heard that one of Royalton's guys just got done recently. So I don't know how many guys they got on their crew.
yeah, but I just heard today somebody else is gonna start there Monday, so
Uh-huh,
hopefully they're in good shape, so.
good.
Sorry. Hope I'm not coughing out bad things for you.
You better not be.
Glad I didn't go to the meeting.
Just
No
as well, man. So we can have, maybe you could talk to Becky about doing that last number.
Yep.
And other than that, budget looks good.
Yeah, just have her run it, taking that 67,000 off. And that would be quite a drop.
It's gonna be, I mean, maybe half a cent or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
All right, if we're done with that, we could approve warrants.
I can share the screen for those too.
Are there minutes in my packet, Mariah?
There's not, because I had them pulled up on my computer at home, so I was going to just share my screen and show you. But
Oh, sure.
but since, this Mariah Silly over here is actually just a blank computer that's not, has nobody behind it. I will email them to you because they're on my other computer at my house. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
let's
what,
see.
I could look them over this week or something?
Yeah, and then I will just add them for the next meeting to approve, like, 6 different sets of minutes, but
Okay.
they're all done and they're on the website anyway, so it's not like people.
Oh,
can-
okay, I could look at them there.
Too
Sure.
late now.
They say
draft is out?
draft ones. Let's see. Share screen, of the warrants. Okay, here you go.
Whoa,
Does that signal have to bounce off a satellite to get over that side of Tunbridge?
What?
The signal to the mic?
Oh, probably. Yeah.
oh, I just remembered. I called up Bart Parmalee, the furnace guy, the hippie's son. And he no longer cleans furnaces because he does not have the time or the help. But he knew of 2 different people, one in Salvo and one in Randolph. He was going to get together with one of those guys and come up and clean it. And he was going to be there and he was going to check out the heating system while he was there and give us thoughts on if we should replace it or what. Anyways,
Good, thank you.
yeah, I forgot to tell you that.
That sounds good. So he can do a physical sort of on it.
Right. And there's some guy in South Walton, I can't remember his name. He said he's pretty busy, but he thought he was a good guy, but he kind of wanted to watch him work. So he said he thought maybe he'd grab him and have him clean the furnace and see what kind of job he did. And then maybe we could get on board with him for a yearly thing.
Does Bart do installations?
Yes, that's all he's doing now, because he's so busy doing installations and doing, fixing furnaces and stuff like that he hasn't been doing cleaning. And he had a guy working for him, and the guy just got done and went somewhere else, and so same old story.
Yeah. Who did the library? Did Gillespie itself do the installation?
Gillespie did the library, yeah.
Yeah.
And if we decide to go to gas, Parmalee doesn't do gas. He just does fuel oil. And so if we decided to do gas, probably go with Gillespie, but I can't imagine where we'd put a propane tank. Because you can't put one of them inside.
I talked to, what's her name next door, Mariah? To the
Janet
telephone.
Wells.
Janet Wells, back in the summer about possibly doing that. And she didn't jump right up and say yes, but she said she would consider it. So if we go down that road, I'll just go talk to her again and see what she says.
Okay.
So which warrant do you have up on the screen?
I
there?
have, it says page 1 of 2. It starts with Vermont State Treasurer.
Yep.
Okay.
I think it's fine. Yeah.
Mariah or Brenda or Gary or Mike, since we're gonna postpone the town meeting, can we get on last year's schedule for the town report?
Yeah,
Should we
we get to,
talk to Anissa?
everything gets to be bumped again, so the town report doesn't have to come out till, 10 days before the town meeting, or we don't have to start warning stuff until 45 days before, and our pre-town meeting can be pushed, and all of that. It can be the same as last year.
So we should find out from Anissa what her revised deadlines would be.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. First, we gotta get the okay from the governor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then like next meeting, we could set a date.
yeah,
If that's the way we're gonna go, or
yeah.
if that's the way we can go.
I wonder, could we have an owl like the owl there, Mariah? And if people wanted to zoom in, they could.
If
We
we
were-
had some sort of internet connection.
The polling shed doesn't have high-speed internet.
I think they do. The fair has internet in the polling arena, so
Right.
as long as the fair gives us their internet password for the day, then we could use it.
We could get a whole flock of owls.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, we could do that.
That might increase participation.
At least people could watch it. If
Right.
they didn't, even if they didn't want to comment.
Yeah. I was putting on the warning this year to vote so that the select board has the authority to elect or appoint the treasurer and the town clerk. Just so you know,
Yeah.
because you had discussed that.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
So there's nothing in state statute that they have to be elected positions.
No,
No,
John or Mike, do you see anything wrong with it warrant on your screen? Or do you want me to
Nope.
just?
looks good.
All right, I'm signing away.
Think a lot of towns are going to appointing treasurers and stuff.
We could have the town clerk appoint the select board.
That's true.
I would reappoint all three of you.
Oh,
We,
yeah.
yeah, we, that's not what we wanted, Mariah.
Wrong answer.
You guys
I did-
want to look at all the warrants, or do you want to just let me peruse them?
No, I'll put it in your capable hands.
Right, well, the second one is simple. It's just, we're paying $972 for the owl.
What?
We're paying
I thought
900,
Mariah said $97.
No, I said 1,000.
and it's less than
I
1,000.
know,
That's ARPA money.
it is. Speaking of ARPA money, Brenda wants to have it in our meeting minutes because we're being very efficient and correct. And for the Wi-Fi at the town hall, can you guys make a motion to approve ARPA funds to be used for the Wi-Fi at the town hall, please?
So moved.
Do we have to have a specific amount or just?
I
say
mean, we
want-
need to get the Wi-Fi over there anyways. It's gonna be less than what's required for us to have 3 different bids for it, and
Yeah.
if we just approve it and it's in the minutes, that way if they come back, I mean, we have to have it
Yeah.
regardless, so then we
Okay.
can use it, but if they say, oh, you didn't do it right, then we
Right.
still have to have it,
Right.
so.
Okay, I make a motion or second
Oh.
John's motion or whatever.
Good job. All right, all in favor of using ARPA funds to hook up Wi-Fi in the town hall, signify by saying yeah, aye.
Aye.
Good
Mike
job.
made a motion to second my motion.
I know, I'm making it nice.
That's
in
sort of like
here.
an amendment. Amendment to the second. All right, what is LUV, you know?
I don't.
Love,
Do we need to mention, to the point that Betsy brought, do we need to mention the owl and the Wi-Fi? If you promote the ability for us to deal with COVID?
So the owl's already been in the minutes for the
No,
ARPA
but we
funds.
need to put it in the minutes that the reason that we're doing this is that we think right now it would enhance our ability.
I can write it in there, that's fine.
Just to cover our bases when they audit us, which they said they will be. These are little parts right now.
Brenda,
Yes,
I can't remember what meeting we were at, but the line came up, oh, Brenda has all our ARPA money spent already. So
I have about,
I would
do
love
have
to
about
see.
35,000.
I remember that
Think of
line.
ideas for that.
She only has about 35,000, she said,
Oh.
spent of 400.
Of 400,000, so you want me to work on that?
Yeah, spend more.
Yeah. I'd love to see your recommendations.
The ones up to the 35,000, because people, they're, some of them it is to enhance the road crew. Well, you guys know what it was when we met on the fairgrounds. We discussed almost everything that we talked about.
how do you want to enhance the road crew? Better
Remember the
haircuts?
road crew brought up that they have antiquated radios that sometimes will shut the trucks off.
Right.
and keep them out.
Yeah. Yes, Betsy.
I have a request for ARPA funds, the bulletin board next to the post office.
The one that's laying down, that the mice can read,
I think that would be appropriate for ARPA.
a new bulletin board or one that stands up?
It's leaning against the post office.
Yeah,
We're
gotta
gonna
put
fence
up the
going up at
library.
the library and we're planning on moving it over there once the fence is up. So there's been discussion with the library, but that would be under ARPA funds. Not necessarily,
It's like pretty specific. I've talked with Sarah a couple times, because we had this, you had asked me to talk about the town garage.
Yeah.
And she said, maybe you could put a tiny bit of it in, saying that it's this amount of square footage is for spreading the guys out. She said, but then if you like go to use it to like put equipment in, then you have to start like tapping off money because there's equipment in it now and it's not for the spreading out and
Yeah.
safety of the crew. And
Yeah.
so she said it was pretty tough to like
Yeah.
actually.
and the
Figure out.
sign has already been discussed in minutes pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Because it does, with the town office limited hours, it's nice to have a public place that
Yeah.
we can see that.
Well, Brenda and I were gonna take care of that a long time ago, but we
Yes.
didn't.
Gary and I are gonna work on it.
Maybe you ought to see if it's still stuck in the ice and at least temporarily stick it up. You pretending you're a jungle animal?
Yeah, I can do that. I can go over and you would pick now. Why didn't you say that in the fall for smoking?
I don't know.
But Brenda, do you think, and just getting back to the conversation we had on the fairgrounds, that we need a larger, town, maybe a town-wide or small, starting smaller, maybe discussion about, and maybe getting Sarah to help us, just, how we would come up with 400,000 worth of expenditures that fit within the restrictions of ARPA.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, what we've talked about down there were, I feel like emergency, more immediate needs for the town, putting files in the cloud here in case
Yeah.
this building burned down tonight, it could still function. There are real basic needs, the emergency building for backup energy, which may help you with the furnace. Maybe it's more like mini splits, heat pumps, I don't know. But those
Yep.
are all a possibility, and then the rest of it should really, I think she's exactly right, use Sarah and have the town kind of kick in a little bit for thoughts. And you folks have thoughts, I hear Mike talking about, he's spending all of it on ditching.
Yeah.
Yeah, gravel and ditching.
And just a heads up, I did hear at a meeting in South Royalton there, the ATV people are in here next to discuss again about getting more serious about coming through.
They're gonna put it as an article on their warning.
In Royalton, you mean?
Yes.
Yep.
I do have, while Gary is reading over the warrants, I have a assistant town clerk job description that I will pull up if you guys want to read quickly, because I'd like to get it posted. Because I'd like to have somebody lined up, because before we know it, it will be June.
I hope so.
It will be for sure.
Do you think this is the 12 hours sort of a consistent thing, or?
Yeah, I mean, I could change it to 15 because I was thinking about that. So I was wanting them to just continue my Tuesday, Thursday, and I'm in there from 8 to 2. But then there are other times that I do have to come in outside of that 8 to 2 and do stuff. So if I had them come in, so if I said 15 hours, that gives them 3 extra hours if they wanted to stay later, or if they came to a select board meeting, or if they helped me do something else, that type of thing.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Should we cross out the line as required to use tact in dealing with the public?
Does it say that?
Tax or tax?
I don't know. Where are you reading this? Oh, no, they have to use tact. That's true fact. They have to. in dealing with the public and the select board vice chair.
Grin and bear it, don't you?
Exactly.
That's right. Extraordinary patience is required to work with the select board.
Yeah.
Right.
Who has been the assistant? It's been
Ellen,
out.
Ellen's technically our assistant right now. But I don't think that she's used any of the allotted money that you have budgeted. Like, I haven't really asked her to do much. If she's here on Tuesday, like today, because I was working from home, but she was here in the office, she let one person into the vault, but she was already down here and the vault was already open because she was using it, so.
Do you hire this person and we approve it, or do we have to actually hire them?
I don't know. I think that because it's my assistant, I get to choose who I want and you guys just approve them.
I think you're right.
Because Becky got to just say that, oh, I was helping her with treasurer stuff and that's what I did. I think that I get to choose.
You want to scroll down, Mariah?
Yep.
Well, let's me out, high school education.
You spent your high school years jeeping
That's right.
and trespassing.
Well, I learned from the best. I did it with my father, so.
Were you ever called the son of a hippie?
No, I don't believe I ever was.
I'm sure you were. Oh, and then I just put this here for you to see too, when you're done. They're not doing any more cups, plates, silverware in the compost bins. So I don't know if we should post that somewhere.
Why not?
Don't know, just food now.
Huh?
Do you want me to keep going, John?
Is there more?
Yeah. It's very
Oh.
hard to be the assistant town clerk. There's 2 pages worth of job description.
It's physical.
You work in an office,
Oh.
constantly talking, walking.
That's physical. Reach and twist. That sounds like Farm All Fix.
Watch your step.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, watch your step.
You get to use the town car.
Yeah,
Does it say that?
and take the blue light off for.
Silver SUV.
Yeah, you can take my car, that's fine.
Do you foresee training somebody, Mariah?
I will train them, yeah. I don't
That'd be
know,
good.
I mean, there's, like VLTC and stuff has a lot of really great webinars online, so they could go to. I
Yeah.
don't think they're doing any training in person at this point, but even, if I wasn't here and they wanted to watch a video on dog licensing in Nemrick, like, that's available online to them for training.
It would be good to have somebody in town who actually knew some of this stuff.
Yeah, right. a
We've
second
been lucky
person.
we've had Helen and
That was a little slam on morale, wasn't it?
No, no, I knew what you
No.
meant, that, you know,
we need a substitute, right?
Oh,
Exactly.
okay.
yes, yes.
Who knows something?
And we've been lucky we've had former town clerks too, who ready to
Yeah.
jump in, but
Right. But like, I was talking with Helen about this, and because when she first found out I would be taking maternity leave, she said, I'll help you in any way I can, but I can't be the full-time assistant town clerk because I have no idea how to do it anymore. She said, I can let people into the vault, she said, but I can't do like any of the recording stuff or any of the dog licensing. She said, it's all different. I did mine on paper and now it's on the computer. So she was like, you know, very much not willing, she was obviously willing, but she was like, that's just too much outside of what I was doing. So it would be nice to have a second person, you know, when I come down with COVID for my 18th time or something, then I can have somebody as a backup.
town nurse give you
Exactly.
COVID shot.
Yes, please.
You and Simon know.
Yeah, COVID now.
He does, holy
Ugh.
smoke. In these warrants, Wendy Palfy has finally put in her hours for administrative assistant
Oh, my God.
from
Do we have to-
January until April.
Do we have to pay her interest?
It doesn't say anything about interest here, but I'm not sure what our policy is. So I'm gonna sign it.
Oh, she did a nice job.
He sure did.
So if you like my job description, I will put this main one on our website, and then I will put a condensed version in the Herald, just saying like town clerk, assistant town clerk, Tunbridge, you know.
Yeah.
Full job description can be found on this website.
Yeah.
Basic
Yeah, that'd be a
description.
good idea.
Or I could just run a half a page Herald ad with this full job description.
Go with the first one.
Okay.
The Herald never did come in, did they?
No, we've asked them and they don't want to.
Could we invite the John Houston and maybe Mike and Lois Gross to come in just to tell us a little bit about what their ideas are for the stores going forward?
Sure.
I don't know if that's unusual, but it just, because we have so little retail and they're both potential hubs, seems like that it'd just be nice to have a conversation.
Yeah, I don't know what John's planning on doing. I know that Scott posted a thing that said he sold the building, but he didn't sell the business, and he's been selling off every single item inside the store, like all of like the commercial kitchenware and things like that.
John, have you heard anything about Mike and Lois, when they're gonna open a North Tunbridge store?
I haven't. It came up, didn't it? Maybe in Jody and Betsy talking about maybe.
know that-
I thought it was, like March or something like that.
Oh.
Originally they said they wanted it to be the end of this month.
That's when they had their semi,
Yeah,
whatever, press release or whatever. They
yeah,
said mid-January or something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
I
so
bet
soon.
I bet it doesn't go as smoothly as they want, just because.
Right.
nothing ever does.
right.
Before I beg out of here, can I just tell you two things?
You can.
The first one is that finally the Mormons are in contact with me about preserving the papers that relate to the Mormon church.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead with that. It shouldn't affect, Mariah, it shouldn't affect you guys at all. We'll try to set up an appointment to get into the vault
That's fine.
so they can take pictures, and then I hope.
My question is, because I know when I was reading down through that, not to interrupt you, but we had been talking about maybe moving the book somewhere else. I don't know if we should necessarily take that record out of the vault. If we can get some sort of like really nice copy or something that they can have, but I don't know, what do you think about having our original book one land record book not being in?
No, I think it should stay in the vault.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's okay, that's okay. I think what we're going to try to do is, the Mormon church got hold of, said immediately take the plastic stuff off the covers, it's gonna ruin it.
Yeah,
And then we're gonna do some kind of photocopying, and what may be out here would be, you know, it's in the vault.
Yeah.
And you get to see it break, and what we're hoping is that they get a card,
yeah,
and then they give us a donation, and we put it into the maintenance of the building.
yeah. Or even if we had some sort of like class type of thing we could put it in, so if they wanted to come in and like, you know, walk through and look at it, great, fine. But that way they're not touching it, because a lot of times they do come in, they like want to take the sleeve off, they want to tilt it up, they're running their fingers down it, and I'm like, oh, I don't think that's good for
Please
it.
don't do that.
Yeah.
The man who contacted me this morning, he's from Utah, he's in Utah. And he's part of the preservation, so they're very, I mean, they don't want it harmed.
Yeah,
So I think that end of the Mormon church will work really fine with us. I think it's a real win-win.
Good.
Group. The other one is just an update on the Hoyt family farm. This Thursday, Amber and I will be on Zoom, hopefully, with John. You probably know more about this, right? That bill's gonna go forward, hopefully Thursday, to see about helping them with their expenses.
Well, it's a Senate bill, right? So we won't see it until they talk about it in Senate Ag for a while, and then it will get to the floor, right, and pass, hopefully, and then it'll come over to us.
So
But-
Bobby Starr and Mark McDonald are gonna present it, and they
Yeah.
think, their feeling is they're not getting a lot of pushback against it.
Yeah.
People feel bad about it, it's an unforeseen thing that happened, and they're supportive.
Mhm.
So keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And that was a good group effort of the whole town.
And so you're gonna testify before the Senate then?
I don't know what we're gonna do, we're certainly gonna Zoom in, and if they wanna talk to us.
Yeah,
We'll
okay.
be available.
I gotcha.
Yeah, that's good. We talked about them a lot in committee this week. And just in general, like how appalling it is that apparently contractors or subcontractors don't need any liability insurance when doing work in utility work or broadband. And we were like, wait, even Andy Bogardus needs insurance. To shovel the steps, yeah. But Eustis doesn't. Seemed kind of like an enormous oversight from somebody at the administrative level or administration level or the Public Utilities Commission.
Well, hopefully, I think what Amber and Scott, to their credit, are feeling is that future best practices,
Yeah,
even though a lot of them haven't written out, this will be a good warning for all of them to make sure they're actually doing it.
yeah.
All right, thank you, Brenda.
bye, Brenda.
See you guys. Gary, the checks are starting to come in, I think.
For the fourth.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the new contract is here.
Yeah.
Today, delivered today from AJ Followsby.
Yeah.
No, I got it a couple days ago.
Okay,
I just sent it back to him, like confirming I had it. But yeah, I got it.
excellent.
Yeah, and also I wanted to mention Brenda made a nice, beautiful, awesome sign for the Tunbridge Town Forest out of, what was it, butternut? And it just says Tunbridge Forest, and then it has, what, a tree, was it, and the moon or something?
Trees and the moon. and-
Yeah, and it just is really pretty, and she's.
Did you wood burn it?
No, I actually carved I
Oh.
carved everything out and then
Cool.
painted some of it to enhance
Oh,
it.
cool. I'll have to go look at it.
So she's gonna mount it, or we're gonna mount it sometime up at the town forest, so.
Yeah, right after we do the sign.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll be in touch.
It's gonna be a big
Thing.
sign day, Gary.
Yeah.
Should we put a picture of it
Tell-
on
Tell Brenda we need another one. We have 2 town forests.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've gotta do it. I wanna have a contest to rename it, but I got kind of sidetracked with a lot of logging stuff lately.
And just to update you, the town forest committee lacking, Lee, I guess, didn't make it. Walked over at the town forest, town garage lot last Saturday, and we kind of sort of officially, unofficially decided where our pavilion that we plan to build is going to go. So we're forging ahead on that front.
Yeah, logs, you'll see, when you go to the dump, you'll probably see the logs start to pile up soon. At the bottom.
So we have plans to build a pavilion, and then Brenda will build another sign for that lot.
Once we name it.
Yep.
Do they both have names? Or they will?
Well, the one up here is the Drew lot, and I just think that we could probably get the town and the kids maybe involved in doing some research on how to name the garage, rename the garage lot.
Yeah.
Something that's fun. And maybe historic.
The Euclid Farnham Forest.
Get you and Elijah together and you'll get something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, with COVID at the school and everything that's going on, it just seems like not the best year to
Yeah,
be up at the school and encouraging this as much.
yeah. We'll get it
But
done.
we'll get on it. We'll have it happen.
All right, thank you, Brenda.
Yeah, see you guys.
Thanks, Brenda.
Stay healthy, stay good, stay warm.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you. Speaking of Euclid, Priscilla called me the other day when I was home in my quarantine, pretty sick. And she was very nervous because Baxter, what I had understood from her calling was that Baxter had come up to her house on his like ATV
Mhm.
to put out signs in the field for the Bash Trail, and
Yeah.
that she didn't see the flag in the field, and it'd been about an hour and she hadn't seen him, so she was worried
Oh.
something happened to him. So she's like, he said he'd have his cell phone. Can you find him? So I'm like, okay. So I try to find his cell phone number. Nobody has it. So I called down to his house, no answer. So me, Devin, and Davis all load up in the car with our tissues and cough drops, and we drive up to Priscilla's, and we didn't see anything. And she came out on the porch, and so then she's like, oh, well, he just called me to tell me he was coming up today. She didn't know. Like, I'm like, okay, so like he might not even have like left yet. He could be other places. So we noticed that there was a sign down in the field, but that she hadn't seen. So we drove around, we drove by your barn, we drove all over Monarch and
Yeah.
Whitney and all this stuff, and finally went back by his house and his truck was there. So then I called him like an hour later. I said, are you home safe? And he said, yeah, why? I said, well, Priscilla thought that something happened to you. So he's like, no, you know, the way Priscilla made it out, he had parked his truck there.
Right.
He'd been gone for 4.5 hours. His
Yeah.
truck was in the middle of her yard and he never came back. No, he had just called and said, hey, I'll be up at some point today. And she was panicked about it. But
You need to ask more questions.
I apparently, but anyways, he's safe and sound, and I did my clerkly duties,
And
I
you're
guess.
still
Yeah,
riding around in your quarantine car.
I guess so. Full of
And you
my
did
own-
it. And you did it tactfully.
I did, tactfully. I was gonna call you and be like, Gary, can you go? find
I
him?"
could do that. I would be your assistant for a day.
Thank you.
She tactfully drove her car back and forth on the crossroads,
Right?
I did too, yeah.
Spinning through the sensitive areas,
right through the sign.
Exactly.
knocking the sign over. yeah.
Pushed it to the wayside.
Hey, is your house warm?
It's
Yeah.
so warm. Oh, is Gary's house warm or
No, I
mine?
don't care about Gary's house.
Well, you're warm.
My house is so
I
warm.
was gonna ask you that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's like 74 in all parts of the house.
Yeah.
There's no like,
Yeah.
half heated.
Yeah,
Yeah, we wake up every morning and Devin says, this is the best thing we've ever bought. He
Yeah.
loves it.
every morning he says. that.
Yeah.
Tomorrow-
Even better than the rifle he bought the other day in Williston.
Yeah,
Exactly. We texted our friends who live in the little house across the street that we used to rent, which has no insulation. The only heat in it is a pellet stove in the living room, and there's just vents cut in the floor upstairs, and like, you know, the single pane glass windows. And if it was cold like this, the bathroom, kitchen, and like bathroom sink the pipes would all freeze. So you'd have to sit there with like a hair dryer on them for 45 minutes and then turn all the hot water on. And it was awful. We texted them this morning, was like, how is it over there? And they're like, it's really cold. And I said, I'm nice and warm over here, not to rub it in, but
under quarantine.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably your fenced-in lawn is warmer than the other house.
Probably. It was so cold over there. I can't believe I lived there for 4 years.
That's what Lori and our house was when we first moved in. We had just a stove in the living room.
Mhm.
And so the living room right next to the stove was nice and warm.
Yep, yep. And our bedroom was right above it, so that we'd leave the grate open in the floor, and then we'd block off the hallway, and
Yeah.
you'd run up the stairs, it'd be like 40 degrees out in the hall. You'd run into your bedroom, be warm in there.
Yeah. Makes you appreciate what you have.
Oh, yeah, now it's like extra nice,
Yeah.
because I'm like, I could be over there freezing.
Shangri-La.
Is Gary's house warm, Mike?
Yes,
Depends on how much wood he's cutting in.
that's right.
Cellar's full of wood. I just stopped to stoke the furnace on my way here, so it should be nice and toasty when I get home.
You have one in the basement boiler?
We have a Sam Daniels furnace, so
Oh,
it's
okay,
hot air.
nice.
Yeah. It's usually pretty warm. All right, anything else more to add? Anybody?
I guess we'll get Mitch at the next meeting, Mariah.
Yeah,
How cold was it in West Tunbridge this morning?
It was 6 below at one point, and I didn't look again because I didn't want to know.
How about on the East Hill?
12 below.
12, holy smoke.
Phew,
It was 5 below at my house and it was 8 below at the farm, so
Oh,
cold air was up top.
some representatives were talking before we went on the floor about, yeah, it was up in the 20 belows. I think 24 in Waterford, something like that.
yeah,
Oh, good.
wow. I bet.
But I think actually colder tonight, right? Air temperature wise.
Supposed to be, yeah.
It was 1 here at 5 o'clock tonight. I
Mhm.
just happened to look, and it said it was 1 degree, so.
Yeah.
Rodney Graham said it at the end of our house committee. He said, "Oh, it's warmed up to 8 below."
Yeah.
Over against that. Pretty low high.
A low high. Well, I make a
Yeah.
motion, we adjourn if we're
I
covered
make a
everything.
motion to second that
I accept that motion.
discussion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Got a good joke, anybody? We haven't done that in a while.
Mariah must have one.
I'm not funny.
She's not funny, she says.
That's kind of funny.
It's odd.
Gary just told us a joke the other day. What was
That's
it?
right. You got to tell your round bale story, Gary. It's a
Oh.
story.
I will, actually. I've told this at like dinner parties and stuff where especially farmers aren't there. People will always ask me, what do I feed the cows and how do I take care of them? And I say, well, I feed them round bales, but I got to feed them all up this year because I can't feed them next year. And they say, well, why not? And I say, well, the state's outlawing the round bales. And they say, why is that? And I say, because they're afraid that the cows won't get a good square meal.
Oh, gee. Oh, my God.
John, you've changed.
Yes.
Is
This
that your
time of night I
assistant?
turn into a cat.
Yeah. A yellow cat.
Yeah.
There's a cat like that in the village. and
I've seen it.
Lives in my woodshed sometimes.
Really? I've seen it.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I feed it tuna fish and warm water because I'm sad for it.
yeah. You can't
Sounds
scarf
like
it and bring
it has a good life now.
My dogs would eat it.
Just once.
I know. Even though the cat that's in the village is bigger than my dogs.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I feel like it would be not a good thing.
I've seen it.
But I'll catch it and bring it to your house.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, if you think it needs a home, you could bring it to the farm.
I do think it needs a home.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'll have Devin set a trap.
Next time you're headed to Priscilla's.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. We're
All
gonna
right.
sign off then.
I guess we're good.
Thank you for attending.
Goodbye.
Have a good night.
You too.
Oh, John still has his chocolates here. I'll take them.